My parents had me and my two older sisters, 20 and 19, together. When I was 2, my parents divorced because Mum found out Dad was having an affair with a woman named Claire. Claire became my stepmother. Claire was also the ex of one of my dad's friends, so he lost 2 relationships because of the affair, and I think it hurt Mum more because she knew Claire and they'd gotten along. When my sisters and I were really young, Dad and Claire would say we were all one family, which included Mom, and that they'd love to be friends with her, but she didn't want to be their friend. We'd go back to Mom about it. Eventually, she brought us to a therapist and explained that Dad and Claire had hurt her badly when they got together and that she wasn't asking us to hate either of them for her, but to understand why they're not friends or why we're not all one big family. It made my dad and Claire angry, and they accused her of alienating us from them in court, but the court said Mom was just protecting her relationship with us after they'd used some alienation techniques on us with those comments. After that, Dad and Claire shut up about it, but we could tell they didn't like Mom. We could also tell it upset and bothered them that we always called Claire her name and not Mom. Even when we talked about her to others, she was Claire, and eventually I would say my dad's wife, Claire, if I had to clarify who she was. I picked that up from my sisters. I know stepmom would be correct, but I don't think Claire deserves that title. I said stepmother in the title because it sounds so formal and distant, and that's pretty accurate. A few years ago, my mom won some money. News about it spread, and my dad and Claire heard about it, and so did the rest of Dad's family. It's not something Mom talked about, and she actually divided it mostly between me and my sisters for college or other stuff. However, she still has some of it, and Dad doesn't know any of it. In October last year, Claire was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer, and she started treatment for her cancer. She ended up being sent for so many different treatments, and some helped while others didn't or just made her sicker. But they also had my half-siblings, a kindergartner and a toddler, to think about. So, after many struggles, my grandparents suggested that Dad set up a GoFundMe for help. They've raised some money from it already, but not as much as they'd hoped, and they kept track of who was donating and got angry when my mom didn't donate. Dad called Mom up and told her she needed to donate and to think about me and my sisters. Mom said Claire wasn't entitled to anything from her. This is when my dad, Claire, and some of my dad's family tried to rope me in. They wanted me to ask Mom. Dad said you shouldn't have to, and she should know Claire is important to us and do it for us, me and my sisters. But sometimes it needs to come directly from one of the horse's mouths. I told them I wasn't asking Mom, and I thought it was sick to say my mom needed to pay for his other woman's cancer treatments. I said no matter how long they've been together, it doesn't change how they started. Not when they hurt Mom. My dad and Claire weren't able to speak because I didn't even acknowledge that she was supposed to be important to me. But Dad's family members said it would be the right thing to do for the sake of my family, and that the way I was talking about Claire was not very appreciative of all she's done for me. They also said I was old enough to know when life and death matter more than petty hurts. Mom was angry when she found out they tried to involve me, and it angered my dad's side even more that I told her about it but didn't ask her to donate. Mom told me not to say a thing to them about the money she gave me and my sisters because they'll try everything to get us to give that up. And if we don't want to, then we shouldn't. So I'm keeping quiet even though Mom's getting crap for having money, being able to make a difference in their minds and not doing it. But am I the idiot for not asking my mom to donate to stepmom's GoFundMe? Not the idiot. Your mom has every right to be upset. If I was her, I wouldn't donate a thing either. Claire wasn't thinking about her when she was screwing your husband, so why should she care about Claire now that she's sick? Also, your dad is an idiot for trying to put you in the middle of their bullcrap. Frankly, I cut your dad and Claire off. They are trashy as heck. LOL, tell them it's hypocritical and walk away. You owe Claire or your father nothing. Did they just think that because a lot of time has passed since he blew up your family and had an affair, you just forget about it? Don't even get me started on the sheer audacity and entitlement to think your mother owes Claire anything. Claire and your father can go kick rocks. OP, your mum did donate. She donated her old, unfaithful husband to Claire, so if she wants to repeat a donation to that value, it would be 0. Because in every scenario and viewpoint, your dad is worthless. Plenty of people out there in need of money for medical expenses that didn't screw your mum's husband behind her back. The shoe was on the other foot. I highly doubt your dad would be forking out for the man who bedded his wife either. This happened this morning and I'm so upset I don't know what to do. I, 36 male, have been with my fiancée, 33, for 3 years. I have a twin daughter from my previous marriage. Her mother passed away when she was 2.5. My fiancée is currently pregnant. Yesterday, my daughter asked me to buy a giant cupcake from a bakery near my work. She wanted to take it to school to surprise her friend for their birthday. I also bought an extra cupcake for my fiancée. She devoured hers right away. My daughter was really excited and put a nice ribbon around the box before leaving it in the fridge to take to school in the morning. Apparently, my fiancé craved it in the middle of the night and ate the other cupcake. This morning, my daughter woke up to a big, disappointing surprise. She started crying and screaming. I asked my fiancée why she did that, and she said her craving was so bad she couldn't sleep. Then she yelled, "It's called being pregnant, jerks." My daughter screamed that she hated her and the baby already. I told her, "I'll buy another one today and maybe drop it off so you can give it to your friend after school." She said, "Don't bother." Later, my fiancée texted me saying she was upset that I didn't stand up for her when my daughter was mean, and that my daughter and I owed her an apology. I'm sitting in my car wondering what the heck to do. Was I an idiot for not standing up for her? I feel lost. Not the idiot. Your fiancé is selfish and entitled. Pregnancy is not an excuse for her behavior. She's allegedly an adult and took something from a child because she lacks any ability to think about how her actions affect others. She just doesn't care about your kid. Calling her out on this bullcrap and not blindly supporting her ridiculousness was the right call. She needs to apologize to your daughter and stop hiding behind flimsy excuses. Being pregnant is not an excuse for being a witch. Honestly, who steals a cupcake from a little girl? It's messed up. It was clear the cupcake was for your daughter and her friend. Even if you're craving, you don't take things that are someone else's, especially from a literal child. She also could have offered to buy a replacement cupcake herself but didn't, and insisted your daughter was the jerk. Sure, there are cravings, and there's also self-restraint. She took candy from a baby and wondered why it was crying. I'd be worried about how she treats the kid when I'm not looking. I think it was a pregnant fiancé showing the daughter how she has no place in her family, and I bet it's not the last time she'll deliberately exile the daughter. There were no cravings, just a way for the fiancé to show the daughter she was in control and could do what she wanted. If OP continues with the relationship with this woman, then bet daughter will wave "Bye Felicia" as soon as she can. First off, I feel the need to mention my parents are not old to the point where this is asking too much of them. My dad is 50 and my mom is 52. I'm 30. I moved out at age 24. I have my own house. My parents finally decided to downsize recently. They've bought a new house, but it won't be ready for another week of young grammar schoolers. The thing is, they've sold their house and the people are eager to get in, so my parents asked if, for the next few weeks, they can move in with me as I have a spare room. I said yes, I love my parents and we have a good relationship. Their moving in for a few weeks isn't an issue in itself, in general at all. They moved all their stuff into storage, then came with all their clothes and other bits they would need while living with me. When they came, I made dinner and we ate. My dad works Monday to Thursday and finishes his work around 3 p.m, but my mum doesn't work, so she'll mainly be at my house most of the time. While we were eating, I wanted to discuss something. I'm financially sound, so I wasn't asking them for money or anything like that while they were staying here, but my food bill will go up for the few weeks, as there will be 3 of us, not just me. I didn't ask them to chip in for that. All I asked is that while they were here, I wanted one of them to cook dinner for the 3 of us and to help me keep the house clean, like chipping in with chores and stuff. Now, I don't think that's a huge ask, but they suddenly acted like it was. They commented, "We raised you, we fed and cleaned up after you for years." I responded, "Yeah, because you're my parents. That was your job when I was a little kid. When I started high school, I started helping you, and then as soon as I got a job, you took some of my wages for rent, bills, food shop, stuff like that every month. I was still helping in cleaning your house, and there were nights when I made dinner. I'm basically asking the same of you in my home except for the money part. This isn't a hotel. You're not on vacation staying at my house. Everyone should do their bit. If anything, you guys are the ones who taught me that." My dad got quiet because he knew I was right, but my mum tried to keep pushing it a little, saying things like, "I just want a nice relaxing few weeks without stress." I said, "Mum, who's going to be stressful about making some food and picking up a cloth and a spray, a hoover, a mop every other day while you're here? There's nothing stressful about that." To which she said, "Well, if it ain't stressful, why can't you just do it all?" I got a little annoyed and said, "I work from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Monday to Friday. It'll be nice to come home and have a meal waiting for me. It would be nice just to have a little help keeping my house clean and tidy while you're here, so I don't have to just do it all the time. It's not a big ask." She clicked her tongue at me and my dad finally just said, "Okay, fair." but they're not exactly thrilled about it. Am I the idiot for asking that of them? Because I don't think I am. Not the idiot. Asking your folks to pitch in with cooking dinner and keeping the place tidy while they stay with you for 6 weeks is fair, especially since you're opening your home to them without asking for money. Understandably, they might feel a bit put out, but you're coming from a good place, just expecting the same teamwork they taught you, and that's not disrespectful to them as parents. If this is too much of an ask, they could always move to a hotel and have housekeeping services provided. Right? Doing this while staying at anyone's house, especially for free, is just basic respect. Even children, adults or minors are entitled to that. OP's parents need a lesson in respect, I guess. Seriously, how would this be any different than being in their own house anyway? Did they not clean up after themselves and prepare meals? Considering how entitled they are, I'm surprised you turned out so well. And they shouldn't have taken their high school-aged child's money. That's gross, by the way. Agreed. My parents never used that line on me, and I will never use that line on my kid. They wanted a child just as I wanted one. We made our decisions and knew roughly what that would entail. It was our choice, not our kids' choice. Children don't owe parents anything, and trying to frame it any other way is manipulative and frequently turns emotionally abusive. Raising a child is parental responsibility, not a lifelong debt owed by the child. I, 29, have 2 kids, a pre-tween and a young grammar schooler, with my ex, 29, female. We share physical and legal custody of them, and last year she got married to her husband Josh, 34, male. From the beginning of their serious relationship about 3 years ago, Josh has been a real idiot to me, and my ex has let it happen and has joined in as well. The first incident happened when my oldest had a school play, and I was already there when they arrived. Josh asked me why I'd shown up when I knew it was my ex's custody time, and I knew my kid would have 2 parents there already, meaning he was counting himself as a parent and was only dating my ex at the time. I told him that my ex and I both show up regardless of who has time that week, and the judge and mediator encouraged us to do this. Josh said I was unnecessary. Another time I went to the exchange to pick up my kids, and Josh was holding my youngest and tried to tell me my kid wanted to stay with him, even as my kid was reaching for me. My ex made him hand our child over because I told her I would be documenting incidents in the future since it looked like we were going to have big problems. Josh accused me of being jealous when all I wanted was to take my kids with me like I was legally entitled to. I also documented this and other incidents moving forward. Then, when my youngest was at a birthday party thrown by my ex's parents, and they invited me, Josh told me I must be desperate to show up where I'm not really wanted. I asked him if nobody wanted me here and why was I invited, and he started to say something about besides the kids, but then I guess he didn't want to say they were nobody. He glared pretty hard when the kids were all about having me there and didn't want him stepping in and taking over. By the time they got married, I had over 30 incidents documented, and I'd taken my ex back to court over the issues. I presented a case for signs of potential alienation and interference in the legal custody order. The judge warned my ex that Josh's behaviour could cost her custody if she weren't careful, so Josh was no longer present during exchanges. There were still texts from Josh that I had to document and save because he was still saying stuff that he shouldn't be. I'm not in direct violation, but I'm getting close to it. I couldn't block him because communication needed to be open in case something happened and my ex couldn't contact me. The good part is I didn't need to answer unless it was an emergency, and I didn't reply to those texts. Then my ex took me to court and wanted Josh to be granted guardianship of our kids. She argued that he was equally as involved as us but didn't have the same legal rights. She said it would be simpler if he could take them to the doctor without us and sign them up for stuff without needing our permission. She said, as a step-parent, he was filling the role of a parent but did not have all the abilities we had. She also mentioned his ability to make decisions in case of an accident. The judge refused to grant the guardianship request. She told my ex that given our past and given our kids had 2 active parents, it wasn't necessary to give him all that legal access. She also made it so that I wasn't obligated to give permissions like that. She said the same thing. If I were to marry, she would not need to give my wife these permissions. My ex asked if that included the emergency contact list at school, and the judge said yes, that included the emergency contact list. That takes us to now. My ex wanted me to consent to the full decision-making and permissions anyway. Josh was never added to the emergency contact list. School requires the consent of both parents, so our kids have my ex, then me, then my mom and dad, and then her mom and dad as their emergency contacts. I also did not give permission for Josh to take the kids to the doctor alone. My ex and Josh weren't happy when I refused to allow it. I told my ex I was not going to open the door for Josh to claim I gave him those rights because I didn't care about being a dad or because I wanted to shirk my responsibility as a dad. And I can see him using those permissions to engage in more alienation or to have a way of using it to make me look bad. I could also see it becoming an issue if he uses it to try and push me out. I would rather prevent it before it starts happening. My ex has argued that I'm not putting the kids first, and I'm letting adult issues come between them and Josh. She said they deserve to have the love of both dads in their lives, and that allowing Josh to care for them as we do when he's going to be around for the rest is the only right thing. She said otherwise, the kids will grow up seeing him as just her husband and not as their parent. And she mentioned how that's already present, but she said they have two men filling the role and only one who gets the love and affection from them for it. It wouldn't be the right thing under these circumstances. Legally, I'm covered. But morally, am I wrong here? Am I letting my issues with Josh and my ex make me not think of my kids first? That's why I'm asking. Am I the idiot? The ex is an idiot, and she found Josh, who's also an idiot. If the relationship was less consistently hostile, this would be a more reasonable request to consider. Your fears are justified, considering Josh's past behaviours. The judge denied her request for a reason. Your concerns about alienation and manipulation are completely valid. Being a step-parent doesn't automatically grant parental rights, and given his history, he absolutely should not have them. My thought exactly. The stepdad sounds very jealous and territorial, which does not come across as a caring and concerned parent at all. Josh wants to kick OP out of their happy new family, no matter the costs. I bet he's in the ear of the ex-wife non-stop. If OP remarries, they will not give his new spouse the title of second mom with all the legal rights. I guarantee. LOL, sorry. She thinks that Josh not being an emergency contact is the reason they won't give him love and affection. LOL, okay. I don't think my kids know that they even have emergency contacts. I could see if he worked from home, so he was closer in case of emergencies, but so the kids feel loved? Yeah, this is so Josh feels loved, not the kids. OP, I hope you're checking in with your kids and making sure Josh and your ex are not pressuring them to give him a role they're not comfortable with.